independent auditor's report. This is the ultimate report that the auditor will provide after he has performed all the stages of the audit, and finally he is going to review, he is going to report that what is his opinion on the financial statement. This audit report is to be provided in a specified format, and this is what the format is. Okay, you have to remember this format and you have to remember the sequence of this format. The sequence cannot be changed. In the exam, it might be a question where it is asked that you have to find out the mistakes in the particular audit report. So one of the mistakes could be that the paragraphs could be shuffled. But you must know that the sequence of the paragraphs in the audit report must be what is provided in the auditing standard. You cannot shift, you cannot change the sequence. Okay, so the independent audit report contains the following. First of all, the title, that is, it is an independent auditor's report. This is the title of the report. Then addressee, to whom the audit report is addressed. The audit report is addressed to whom? It is addressed to the shareholders of the company. Now, auditor's opinion. What is finally the auditor's opinion? Based upon all the evidences, all the procedures that the auditor has performed, he will finally provide an audit opinion. Then he will provide a basis of the opinion. Now, basis of the opinion is actually the basis why a particular opinion is provided. We know that the opinion could be either a modified opinion or it could be an unmodified opinion. Whatever the opinion is, there should be a basis for opinion, that why you have provided a particular opinion. Then material uncertainty relating to going concern. If the auditor feels that there is a material uncertainty with respect to the going concern of a company, then he has to report it in his audit report. Then emphasis of matter paragraph. We'll be discussing more about this topic, this particular paragraph. But for now, you should know that the auditor has to provide an emphasis of matter paragraph in his audit report, followed by the key audit matters. The key audit matters have to be provided only in the case of listed companies. What does it mean? In the case of listed companies, it is mandatory for the auditor to provide key audit matters, and for other companies, for other than listed companies, he can provide key audit matters, but it is not compulsory. Then other information, the auditor will provide some other information that also we will be discussing more in this chapter. Then responsibilities of the management. Now, to reduce the expectation gap, what we are going to do, we are going to write the responsibilities of the management as well as the responsibility of the auditor in the audit report itself. Why? So that the responsibilities of the management and the responsibilities of the auditor are clearly stated in the audit report, so that there should be no misunderstandings. Then auditor's responsibility, just like we have discussed. Then report on other legal regulatory requirements. In larger organizations, the auditor has to provide a report on legal and regulatory requirements stating whether the company has followed all the legal requirements or not. Then there are other matters, and finally the auditor will provide his signatures and write the auditor's address, so that anyone who has any queries, he can come to the auditor at this address and discuss those queries. Finally, the date of the audit report, the date of the signing of the audit report will be provided, and this will be the proper format of the audit report. You have to learn this format very thoroughly, because in the exam it could be asked that you have to find out the mistakes, so you must be aware as to what is the final sequence of the audit report. Now let's discuss all of these paragraphs one by one in detail. The first point is the title. Why a title to the audit report is given? So that anyone who sees the audit report, who finds out an audit report, he can clearly identify that it is an independent auditor's report. That is why the title of all the audit report will be independent auditor's report, to clearly identify the report as an independent auditor's report. Now addressee, why it is addressee is provided? Because we want to know that to whom this report is addressed, to whom the report is to be provided, that is to the shareholders of the company. That is, we want to know who are the intended users of this report. The shareholders are the intended users of the report. Then auditor's opinion. We know that the auditor is providing this report because he wants to provide his opinion. That is why auditor's opinion paragraph is a must. Provides the auditor's conclusion as to whether or not the financial statements are providing a true and fair view. The auditor will state his opinion in this paragraph, in this auditor's opinion paragraph. Then there will be a basis for opinion, that why the auditor has provided a particular opinion. What is the purpose? What is the reason of providing such an opinion? That will be provided in the basis for opinion paragraph. Provides a description of the professional standards which are applied during the course of the audit, to provide confidence to the users that the report has been can be relied upon. We know that the shareholders want their financial statements to be audited so that they can feel confident about the financial statements, and in the basis for opinion paragraph we write the various professional standards which we have followed during the course of our audit. Clear to everyone? Now, key audit matters. Now, guys, we have discussed that key audit matters are to be provided mandatorily in the case of listed companies. In the case of unlisted companies, the key audit matters could be provided, but it is not mandatory. These are provided to draw attention to any other significant matters which the user should be aware of to aid the understanding of the entity. Now guys, during the course of the audit, if the auditor finds out certain significant matters which he feels that the shareholders must be aware of this matter, that particular matter will be provided in the key audit matters. Now we know that during the course of the audit, there are various matters which arises, and the auditor discusses those matters, those significant matters, with the management of the company or with the TCWG, those charged with governance. The most significant matters out of all of those matters which are discussed, that will be picked and that will be provided in the key audit matters, so that they become aware, the users of the financial statement, the shareholders become aware of those significant matters. Okay, so these matters are to be provided in the key audit matters section. Now comes the other information paragraph. What is the other information paragraph? This paragraph is provided to clarify that the management is responsible for the other information. Now, there are certain other information which the management is providing to the auditor, but the auditor is saying, is including this paragraph in the audit report to conclude, to finally say that I have not audited this other information, I am just reading out this information. Okay, the auditor will clearly say that he has not audited this information. For example, if the director, if the management of the company has provided the director's report to the auditor of the company, the auditor will provide another information paragraph and say that he has not audited the director's report. He is just reading out the auditor's report and seeing if the contents of that in other information is consistent with his understanding of the entity, or if there is an inconsistency, then he will go deep into that and find out what are the misstatements. Okay, to clarify that the management is responsible for the other information, the auditor's opinion does not cover the other information, means the auditor is not providing an opinion on the other information, and the auditor's responsibility is only to read out that other information and not to find the evidences and not to provide an opinion on that other information. Clear? Now guys, the next paragraph is about the management's responsibility. Now we have discussed that there is an expectation gap. What is an expectation gap? It is what is the auditor's responsibility is and what the public believes that the auditor responsibility is. Now the auditor wants to reduce that expectation gap, and there should be no misunderstandings between the company and the general public, between the shareholders and the auditor. That is why the auditor clearly states the management's responsibility and the auditor's responsibility in the audit report paragraph. Okay, the management's responsibility and the auditor's responsibility will be clearly stated in the audit report so that there will be no misunderstandings. Now, then after that, after the management's responsibility, the auditor will provide the auditor's responsibility. Management responsibility will state to clarify that the management is responsible for preparing the financial statements and for the internal controls, that it is the responsibility of the management to set up the internal controls, and it is not the responsibility of the auditor to set up the internal controls, included to help minimize the expectation gap. Now, what is to be written in the auditor's responsibility? The auditor will provide this paragraph to clarify that the auditor is responsible for expressing reasonable assurance as to whether the financial statements give a true and fair view or not, and express that the opinion in the auditor report. Okay, the auditor will express his report, his opinion in the auditor's report, that whether the financial statements are providing a true and fair view. This section also describes the auditor's responsibility in respect of assessment of the risks, internal controls, going concern, and accounting policies. With respect to all of these matters, the auditor will state his responsibilities. This is also included to reduce, to minimize the expectation gap. I hope it is understood now. Next, the auditor will provide a report on other legal and regulatory requirements. This is provided to highlight any additional reporting responsibilities. In larger organizations, it is also the responsibility of the auditor to provide a report on other legal and regulatory requirements. So this paragraph is provided only in the case of larger organizations. This may include the responsibilities in some jurisdictions to report the adequacy of the accounting records, that whether the accounting records have been prepared as per the regulatory requirements or not. Okay, so this paragraph is basically to be provided in case of larger organizations, and generally it is not provided. Then finally, the name of the engagement partner, that is, who is the partner who is signing this audit report. The name of that partner is to be included to identify the person who is responsible for the audit report in case someone has any queries. Then the partner will sign the report. It shows the engagement partner or the firm who is accountable for the opinion, that whose opinion is this, that who is actually auditing the audit report. Then auditor's address. This is to be provided because if anyone has any queries, he can come to the office of the auditor and discuss those queries. And at the end, we will provide the date of the auditor report. The date of the auditor report is a very important point. Why? Because this is the date up to which the audit work has been done. Any events which happen after the date of signing of the audit report, that the auditor is not providing an opinion upon that particular event. So the date of the audit report is an important point. The date is provided to identify the date up to which the audit work has been performed. Any information that comes to light after the date that will not have been considered by the auditor when he is providing his opinion. So the auditor is providing his opinion till the date with respect to all the events that have happened till the date of the audit report. That is why the date of the audit report is an important matter. So guys, these were the various paragraphs which you have to provide in your audit report. Clear?